Hello, welcome to the shores of Loch Ness. Coming up on this mini adventure. It's a glorious summer in Scotland. I meet a two-wheel freak with a very nice Transalp and then lose the will to live. Loch Ness is much bigger than you might think, and someone sets off very early to catch us up.
Up at 4, away at 5.
How are you feeling?
Peachy.
But first, you're probably wondering, why am I sitting on these panniers when they should be on the bike? Well, apparently the Scottish Highlands can get very busy with traffic. It certainly wouldn't be the first time I might have scraped along the side of a camper van while I've been filtering. Oops. That's because these things are so big and so wide and you kind of forget they're there. So this time it's a roll bag and I'm only taking the bare essentials. And my lucky monster mascot. Right, here's the plan. I'll ride into Scotland the scenic way and onto the Highlands, bag the Lochness Monster and return via the Cairngorms back to base. That's just over 1,000 kilometres. And at last, time to go. Welcome to the shores of Loch Lomond, gateway to the Scottish Highlands, and just look at this magnificent weather. But according to the forecast, it's going to rain tomorrow. That can't be right. I settled down to an early night, and guess what? It's a bit of a wet start, but I'm riding the side of Loch Lomond to meet up with a two-wheel freak. So on this mini adventure to the Scottish Highlands, I've bumped into Alan from Two-Wheel Freak. KTM's gone and we have a new Transalp.
We have Alpi. What a fantastic bike.
Yeah.
What a really fantastic bike. The 390 was a great bike, but I think in long distance on the road it struggled, and that was apparent in Portugal because the long travel to get there, long road trips, the 390 doesn't really have any wind protection, so you're kind of taking the full force of everything right on. And really I noticed a big difference between that and the CB500X that Andrew was riding. I felt like I wanted a better road bike which could also handle some off-road. And the kind of off-road I'm looking to do is like the ACT tracks, which are easy to medium anyway. So I think a new NX500 would have worked, but the Transalp seems to be a phenomenal road bike.
I was probably a little bit too harsh
on it, I thought.
You know, yeah, it's probably a bit too harsh on it, but I think everybody's going for the Transalp. You know, 100 horsepower, It's got a decent amount of ground clearance, and with a bash plate, you know, you're going to be okay. Perhaps what adventure riding really is actually getting the distance done.
Yeah.
Seeing great places, gravel tracks. Perhaps for the Trans-Euro trail, you need a single, which is much, much lighter. But
if you've got the right skill set, which I don't have.
I'll join you on that one.
Yeah. Certainly some people could handle that on the Trans-Euro trail, but I think that's a bit above my skill level.
Yeah.
The ACT, I think, is more.
I think the ACT is
level.
definitely more what I'm thinking as well. We're going to run up the road. Hopefully we're going to make it up to Glencoe if this weather doesn't get any worse, and then onwards to Loch Ness. We're heading for the valley at Glencoe when someone we haven't seen for a while left very early to catch us up. Hey Steve, what time did you leave this morning?
Up at 4, away at 5.
How are you feeling?
Peachy.
In true Scottish tradition, it's decided to rain. So 25 degrees yesterday, about 4 degrees today. Unbelievable, this place. The rain gives us a break as we leave Glencoe. The sun makes a very welcome appearance riding into Fort William. After a lukewarm coffee, we say goodbye to Alan as he heads back home. Steve and I ride on to Loch Ness in the late afternoon sunshine. What is wrong with this place? Literally 10 minutes later, unbelievable. Anyway, we're riding the south side of the loch. These quieter roads are a welcome relief, and it's not long before we get our first sight of the mighty Loch Ness. This is enormous. The surface area is around 56 square kilometres, and apparently it's the largest volume of fresh water in Great Britain. No wonder it's been a little tricky to find the monster, but I'm still confident I can bag a few pictures of it. Around halfway along, we find our hotel for the night, and it's next to a very pretty waterfall. But I'm off to bag Nessie, the Lochness Monster, while it's still dry. Welcome to Loch Ness. Well, it's pouring. I'm losing the light. I must have been here 10 minutes. And there's no sign of this bloody monster anywhere. I'm starting to think the damn thing doesn't exist. I give up and head back to the hotel for some amber refreshment with Steve. I've left the camera recording until the battery dies. I'm off for another drink. Next morning we ride to the top of the loch and to Inverness. It's a bit fresh to say the least. We pick up the A9 south, and although the sun is out, it is bitterly cold. Oh, how can it be this cold? I mean, the sun's out, it's summertime. We've just come down from Inverness and it was 6 degrees. It was absolutely bloody freezing on the A9. So I've lost Steve, so I'm having a coffee, filled up with fuel. Hit the road in a couple of minutes. Oh. It's been fun, but Scotland, it's bloody cold. I make it back into England, and guess what? Perfect. Eventually, I'm back home, very cold and wet. My KTM has been brilliant, but I can't say the same for my so-called lucky mascot. What is it with Scottish rain? It comes in at like 45 degrees and it's like frozen nails. Take waterproofs. Of course, I did not. If you enjoyed this mini adventure, do us a big favour. Hit subscribe. Your support to this channel is very much appreciated. My thanks to Alan at Two Wheel Freak, not just for meeting up, but also for giving me chain wax and also lending me his GoPro when mine died. I've still got it. Also to Steve. He never intended to come on this trip, but in the 12th hour he changed his mind and had to ride through pretty miserable conditions so we could all meet up. And of course, my thanks to you. Thank you so much for watching, your continued support and for your company. Finally, where is that bloody mascot? Dun dun, look at this. Oh, Malaga, eat your heart out. Never understood what that meant.